You're listening
You're listening
You're listening
to another episode
of the Fresh Takes
podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Fresh Takes podcast. I am your host, Tim, and today we thought we would spice things up a different. Instead of going over every single game and all that like that, I'm going to bring out a new segment to my co-host, which are with me. You guys don't see them yet, but they don't even know what's going on. So we're going to do something different this week. We're going to ask the age-old question, are we in or are we out? So I am here with my two co-hosts, Tank and Pat. And so how we're going to do it today is I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Then we're going to go into Tank's catch. Then I'm going to ask you 4 more questions. Then we're going to go into my have a day. And then we're going to round it off with one big question. And then we'll hit Pat's power rankings. So, are you boys ready?
Yeah.
Say.
Sure.
All right. Are we in or are we out?
I'm out.
After last night's play call, Todd Bowles should be in trouble from his higher-ups for putting Chris Godwin in garbage time. Are we in or are we out?
How I don't think any I get there are circumstances, but say the score was closer, the same injury could happen at any moment. Like, you never know, and you don't want to take out everyone in garbage time because then that shows, okay, we've truly given up. You still want some reps and some competitive juice on the field.
The main reason I asked this, because it was two-sided on X. You know, people were like, you already lost Mike Evans. Sitting Godwin's not gonna, hurt you guys. You can keep Godwin out there because Evans is gone. I could see sitting Evans if he was still out there. But then, there was other people saying you can only do 2 onside kicks in a game. They already did their 2. So whether they scored or not, Baltimore had to get the ball back and, you had no more timeouts. So it was very unlikely that you would win. Yeah, there was the scenario that you kick it short, Baltimore has to return the ball, and you guys make them fumble and you get the ball back. But, and then one of the things I said, you got a rookie receiver and a year 1 receiver that could have benefited from the extra playing time.
I agree with Pat. But I also agree with you. I personally don't think that he gets put on a hot seat kind of thing or gets in trouble for his play calling. That's just my thought.
All right, next up, are we in or are we out? Devontae Adams should have waited 1 more week before trying to get traded.
Oh, 100% hands down, he should have waited.
Because as we could see, clearly things have not changed when going to the Jets in 1 week. But then again, it's just 1 week, so we don't know what could happen. And it was in prime time. A lot of people play worse in prime time. So, but do you think he should have waited to see if the Chiefs would have reached out or the Ravens would have reached out or, the Buccaneers now down 2 receivers, they could have reached out. The Niners, who lost 2 receivers, could have reached out.
The Chiefs or the Raiders had already said if the Chiefs had reached out, that no matter what, they were not going to trade within the division. So I think he should have waited. But I've heard talks already that, he's already looking to be traded to the New York Giants so that he can lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Fine, nobody laugh at that. Dag nabbits, I thought that would be funny.
I think, no, I don't think if you're in a volatile situation like that, you should ever wait. Get out when you can. the Raiders. It's a crumbling mess. The coach didn't even call Devontae by his name. He referred to him as 17. Like there was clearly some beef there. So I think getting out when you can is appropriate. And I don't think, yeah, I mean it's 1 week. I don't think it's what the Jets needed the most as another receiver. They need offensive line help for sure, but we'll see if the next couple weeks if the offense looks dynamic enough to carry along their struggling line and their defense the last 2 weeks has not played very well at all
Oh
either.
yeah.
So
I thought them getting
that,
CJ Mosley back last week would have helped. But hey, Hassan Reddick's back now.
yeah, maybe all the pieces come together at once now.
But this isn't one of the in or outs, but to go on to that, do you think Mike Williams should try and get out now?
Oh yes.
Because I mean, now you got Adams, Wilson, Williams, and Lazard. And I think they have a
Well,
rookie receiver too.
whether yeah, I mean whether it's best for Williams or not, which it probably is for targets, I think it's probably best for the Jets to try to
Get
shock
some
him.
draft capital.
Yeah, the Steelers
I
really
mean,
need
like you
another
said, I
receiver.
mean, you're looking at Tampa Bay, you're looking at
Yeah, it's
San
Tampa
Francisco,
now.
who are definitely needing some wide receiver help right now.
Uh, I think Tank and I hit it last week that I mean Baltimore still, but Baltimore's receiving core is looking a little bit better. But I mean now that Zay Flowers got hurt,
All he needs is Nelson Aguilar.
Rashad Bateman line up one of them tight ends at receiver.
Yeah, there you go.
But all right, are we in or are we out? The Commanders are the best NFC team, and the Ravens are the best AFC team.
No,
I'm in for half of that statement.
I
All
can go
right.
with half, but I can't
Yeah,
go for both.
yeah.
All right, then explain your halves. Like who do you think is correct out of that?
Baltimore is correct.
Okay, then
Um,
who are you saying for the NFC?
right now, I it's a toss up between
Because I agree
on
with you guys. I don't think Commanders are one. A lot of these I was scrolling through X and seeing a lot of people's like complaints or what they were
Yeah.
saying and all this. So this is where I'm hitting the in or
No,
outs. So
no,
no,
I
no, it's
I
fine.
don't agree that the Commanders are one either. I'd say
I think
Detroit.
I think I think Commanders are like a 2 or 3.
I'd put
Um,
Commanders at two, but yeah, I have Detroit at one.
I was gonna say
yeah,
honestly a toss up between Detroit and Minnesota being at number one. They're
yeah.
both
And
teams are playing really well.
I see the hype from people being like, "Oh, Mariota came in and they still looked amazing. They must be the best." Well, yeah, you could say that,
Like Carolina.
but the Lions. I mean, Goff just broke Jaden Daniels' 4 game stretch from earlier in the year, completion percentage. Like that offense looks so well oiled and just dominant. And then their defense is playing like hard nosed defense, which it's a nice change. The NFC North is insane. I think 3 of the top 6 teams in the league are in the North.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, Chicago's just getting up there too.
Yeah, I mean they're a top 10, top 12, so like yeah,
But
they're all great.
yeah, and I mean going on the Jared Goff thing, 2 weeks ago he was 18 for 18, and I think before halftime he was 13 for 13 in that Minnesota game. So,
Mhm.
and it's not like he's playing conservative or anything. He's heaving the ball down the field and still getting
Yeah.
those completions. I mean, we'll see what happens with Jamison Williams out because that was a big target, but Tim Patrick has stepped up a lot.
Yeah, she's looked nice.
Yes.
So, that was a very good signing by the Lions. And
Who would
Broncos are
have guessed?
probably hating that they got rid of him. So, all right, last one before we hit Tank's catch, though. Tua will turn the Dolphins season around.
No.
I'm in
I
because there's not much getting worse than where they're at now.
Surprisingly, yes, because he's the
Okay,
only
hold on.
thing that's
Let me
been
reword
missing
this for you,
since they've looked
Tank.
awful.
Let me reword this for you, Tank. They will turn the season around, but they won't be a playoff team.
okay, yes.
Say, turn the season around, just give them some more hope. So, people
Yes.
like me aren't regretting putting Tyreek Hill in every single week in fantasy to get an extra 3 points.
Could could still be a playoff team with how weak the AFC looks, honestly. The
Yeah,
AFC's usually stacked, and now they're all like
I don't.
teams 4 through 10 are just like it could be
yeah,
any of
like
them.
I find it hard to figure out who's going to be the 6 and 7 wild card seed because we already know if Baltimore gets to the division, Pittsburgh's getting wild card or vice versa. But
Yeah,
like the 6 and the 7 spot, it's hard to determine when in the East, I'll cover that later in one of these questions. The South, it's all over the place. Like, I think 2 out of the 4 teams are the bottom teams.
yeah.
And then the West, it's hit or
The
miss
West
with them
is
too.
yeah, it's like Kansas City, and then we don't know week to week who the Chargers are. That theme's continued. The Broncos look good for 3 weeks and then bad for a week. Like, yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and
I
then the Raiders are done. Raiders
I
are playing
I
for number one pick.
I guess I'm sorry for misinterpreting that question because I thought you meant like yes,
No, like they're not going to be a playoff team, but he's going to help their season look better
yes.
and give them
I
hope.
I honestly see them finishing as like the 8th seed.
Like, I
Uh,
think every game it's been like a total of 130 passing yards. Like they
Yeah.
don't break over 150.
Do you have I don't the games two is missed. Like it's insane to me that Tyreek Hill's on a team and you wouldn't know it because you don't hear his name in stat lines. Like,
And I saw a thing today, which is one of the reasons I brought this up. Tyreek Hill was ranked the number one player by all the NFL players last year. And this
yeah,
year, he is like the 46th ranked receiver right now. Like, you don't know that game against the Colts until the fourth quarter, he had one run for 5 yards and one target. That was it. And then he
insane.
got, I think, one catch that game.
And I think that's the reason with it too. Like, it's almost as if unless Tua is the quarterback, McDaniel can't coach a game.
Yeah. Say, I don't know if you guys looked at the stats of the last game against the Colts. I think Jalen Waddle, Tyreek, and Odell combined had 3 catches, maybe
It's
4. And then
absurd.
Jonnu Smith had 10 catches because he only wanted to go short to Jonnu.
Yeah.
And I mean, that running back group, like, they are like one of the most explosive groups, but without Tua in there, they're bad. And they
no,
have a good offensive line.
There's no pass threat. So, yeah.
so question. Not saying that again because he can come back and he will help them with the rest of the season. But I if Tua would have to be forced to retire, kind of thing, because of the concussions, as many as he's gotten, and to be safe for his health. Do you think Tyreek honestly continues flourishing there?
Honestly, I think no matter what Tua plays, Tua doesn't play, Tyreek's going at the trade deadline.
You think he's
I
going to be
think
somewhere?
I think Miami will trade him, and I think he'll probably go back to Kansas City. Like there's been that talk, but I don't think that whether he's with them or not, I think Tyreek's gonna get traded, especially because next year he takes a big cap hit on that team.
I get that. What's your thoughts, Pat?
About Tyreek leaving.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't make total nonsense to get rid of him this year now that you're in the middle of this spiral downfall. And yeah, I mean,
The
if
deadline I
you
think is in
probably get
3 weeks. I think you range how he looks in those 3 weeks. With Tua back, if Tyreek like has his 150-yard games and stuff like that, maybe you'll keep him. But if he's like 80 yards a game again, I think you ship him out. And I mean, there was the talk that when he hit 30, he wanted to retire, and I think he's 28 now.
he's going to the Commanders.
November
Maybe.
5th.
Yeah, so in about 2-3 weeks. So,
So
yeah, 2 weeks from now. But all right, we're gonna head on over to your guys' favorite segment that you guys voted on. That catch though with Tank. Take it away, Tank.
Welcome to this week's episode of That Catch, though.
well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of That Catch Though. Well, we got my 3 nominees plus an honorable mention. Actually, my honorable mention goes to multiple players. There was another week of decent catches, I feel. So the biggest one that I can pull off my head immediately would be the Rashad Bateman's catch from Lamar. But we'll get right into it. My first one comes from none other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cade Otton.
Nearly picked, and somehow Cade Otton caught it up against his ear.
This second video comes from none other than Alan Lazard of the New York Jets.
2nd and 7, Rodgers, shot to the sideline, Lazard, the back shoulder adjust.
And the third and final nominee comes from none other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens.
Throws, right? Not the touch, not the moon ball, not the ones up over the top. And because of that,
Well, you saw all 3 videos. Before I get to it, I just want to say thank you for voting my segment, the greatest segment of the Fresh Takes podcast. Here is your winner, Cade Otton. Congratulations.
I don't know. I think that
What do y'all
was,
think?
I think that Pickens one was the best.
I'm sorry, but it just took me back to my memories of the Super Bowl, the helmet catch.
Yeah, but
And
I don't know. George Pickens caught the ball, fumbled the ball, caught it again, got the ball ripped out of his hands, caught it again.
What about that Marlon Humphrey
oh,
pick?
see, I didn't. That's not the one that's nominated.
Well, see, and then that's the problem. That one should have been nominated. I also thought the Pat Fryermuth catch was really good.
Honestly,
Well,
that's
that
another
was
one.
a catch.
Like I said, there was a lot of, especially that game. I felt like there was a lot of good catches.
So, all right. Back to we in or we out. And this one kind of hits me. So I want your guys' opinion. We in or we out? Giants should start Drew Lock from here on out. Especially with a primetime game, and Danny Dimes is 1-14 in prime times.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe just start him Monday night, see what you got in him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
But
like
I
you said,
also want to see how Danny responds because he said when he got benched in that Eagles game, he was pissed off.
okay.
So
and,
maybe
I mean,
maybe he shows in this next game, you shouldn't have benched me.
He might have like 53 rush yards this game.
But he also got caught out by Malik Neighbors after the game too.
I have a feeling that, like you said, he's 1-14, and I think it's time, honestly, to truly move on from him. So I think, yes, you all need to start Lock.
I don't know. I definitely think that if we lose badly in the Steelers game, yeah, Drew Lock needs to start after that. Because I think we play a not terrible, but not great team after that. And then we go to Germany to face the Panthers. And then after Germany, we're on bye. And then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who probably will have Mike Evans back by then.
Yeah, y'all are what, undefeated though over in Germany.
We're like, well, it's overseas, not Germany. We're like, I think 3-0 or 4-0. But I mean, if Bryce Young plays, I think we have a good chance because Bryce Young's the one who's bad compared to Dalton. But oh yeah, I would definitely start Drew Lock if we lose to the Steelers because we play the Commanders. And then we go to Germany and we play the Panthers.
I mean, yeah, put Drew Lock in.
So, all right. I hinted at it earlier when we said about it. So, are we in or are we out? The AFC East is the worst division right now. Because you guys have a 1-6 Patriots, a 2-4 Dolphins, a 2-5 Jets, and I think a 4-3 Buffalo, or maybe 5-2 Buffalo.
Pretty sure they're 4-3. Yeah, I would.
No, they're 5-2.
I
And
would
Dolphins are
say
2-4. Jets are 2-5.
yes, because I think it's the only division that I couldn't think of a second team winning it. Like, I think the Bills are like a runaway with that division. Every other division, I could see at least one other team than
Well, what about the
whoever's
AFC
in front
South?
now. I could
That's
see
what I
the
was going
Colts
to go with.
win. I could see the Colts winning it though. Like at least it's
I
competitive
don't I
between
don't
two
know if
teams.
Anthony Richardson in. I think if they put Flacco back in, yes.
Well, I mean they're winning games with him. He doesn't have to look good, but
Well,
I think
they
yeah,
also
like
played a 2-3 Dolphins with a fourth string quarterback.
it's
And they
the
got
talent.
3 fumbles to help them.
But say what you may, if they win this week, they're in first in that division.
Yeah,
It's
I
crazy to
guess they
think.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I can say that's the worst division. So yeah,
Say, because I mean, I'm looking at all the other ones. At least two out of every division, there's a two winning teams with their records. But the AFC East, that's the only one where three of the teams are losing records right now. And I mean bad losing records. 2-5, 1-6. That's bad. And
yeah.
I mean, there's already
I
talks
mean,
of getting rid of your coaches. And one team already did get rid of their division
I
or their
mean,
coach. So,
and we all thought that with Aaron Rodgers being back this year, that the Jets would be better than they are.
well, yeah, I had the Jets winning that division and
well,
Miami getting the
and
wild card.
and you got a first year head coach calling his defense soft.
Yeah,
That's never good.
who is apparently already on the hot seat of being fired.
Yeah,
So, all right. Speaking of bad coaches and hot seats, are we in or we out? The Raiders should fire Antonio Pierce and call Bill Belichick. So there was the talk of Brady wanted to do that, and that was one of the moves Brady wanted to make was to bring Bill Belichick in as the head coach. Are we in or we out that he should? Because I mean, Antonio Pierce ain't doing nothing but pissing his team off. Like I think he's getting in
but here's
fights with his
something.
players, and they don't
Something
respect
had
him.
to have happened because the players were fighting for Antonio Pierce to get the job. So something happened
Well, that was
from the
what, two
time
years ago?
It was
it
last
was.
year.
Oh, I
I was
thought it
gonna
was
say
2 years
I
ago.
thought he was
Well,
interim
because
coach
he was
last year.
interim last year and then
Oh
coach
yeah,
this
okay.
year.
I was thinking of Gruden, not McDaniel, because he didn't even make a whole year, did he?
Oh,
No, no. So yeah,
yikes!
it, Antonio was interim last year. Then the players fought for him to make sure that he got hired as the coach. So something has happened in that organization for them to now turn on him. I don't know what it is. I
Well,
mean,
I mean, he did say he did call his players out for making business decisions. I mean, they
And
might
I
not
mean, if
like
you
that
watch the
too.
tape back, there's one guy on defense who still is making business decisions, where he's just standing there watching the guys get tackled instead of helping tackle.
Is that Joe? Is that the Jones
I
guy?
don't,
Yeah, I think so. It's like number
I don't.
18 or something.
I'm not saying that. I think honestly, I just have this hunch that Antonio will finish out this season. He won't be he won't be brought back next year, but I don't see Belichick going there.
Well, they just got Desmond Ritter because Farva is out for 4 to 6 weeks, I think. So All right. Before we do our last one, Tank and I have this running thing going on right now. Luckily, this week I did not have to say anything. But Ramondre Stevenson, you suck. Like, come on, you're not. Oh, I don't think he. Oh no, he does have a game this week. Ramondre Stevenson, you suck, dude. Like, your playing is awful. Tank and I, week one, thought that you were gonna be like one of the top running backs this year, and like you're doing terrible. All right, now next week, I hope he makes me eat my words.
Hey, dude.
Hey, I mean, this was his first week back from foot injury, all right? He'll do better next week.
Yeah, but the weeks before that, he was doing bad as well.
Yeah, you see, 2 good weeks, 2 bad, good week, foot injury, bad week. It's either a foot injury or a good week this week.
All right. Last one before we go to my segment, and then we hit the heavy question. Are we in or we out? Monday night needs to stop doing 2 games a night and just stick to one.
Yes, they need to stop. I was going to say something, honestly. They need to stop having 2 games. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. I think that they're trying to overcompensate on something. But the 2 games needs to stop.
I hate it mainly because it's a 30-minute time difference.
You can't really see both of them.
Yeah, like it's so stupid. It gives me something to watch during halftime, yes, but it's so stupid.
But not only that, my other issue with it is I feel now that they do these 2 games. Have you noticed that like it used to be 4 teams would always have bye weeks? There's been a couple weeks already that only 2 teams have bye weeks, and it doesn't make sense.
Last week was 4 teams. The week before that was 4 teams, and this is the first week with 2.
Oh, is it this week? I thought it was. I thought it was last week.
No, there's
only had 2.
Cowboys and Bears.
So I think
which was last week.
Well, I was talking about the 2 weeks before that with 4 teams, and then this week was 2.
I need the nostalgic. I know they're doing it for money. You get a lot more money from a Monday night slot than a Sunday at 4 p.m. slot on these. Because like the Cardinals,
but doing it on ESPN Plus, I felt like they probably lost a lot of viewership.
You see, you would think, but then there's the people that do the free trials for it just to see a game and stuff like that, and then they get all the advertisement money from everyone seeing there.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most people probably cared more about the Tampa and Ravens game.
Yeah. At least they had the worst of the 2 games on there, but also like I like the nostalgia. Week 1 and week 2, you're guaranteed to get like the Broncos versus Raiders on that second Monday night game, and that's fine because that's like a long running thing.
I mean, if they're gonna do both, if they're gonna continue doing 2 games, they need to make sure it's at least in my opinion, they need to have 2 decent games going. Not have a horrible game.
I like that week 1 we get 2 Monday night games like that. Yes. I don't mind, but doing the we're gonna have one on week 3 and we're gonna have one on week 7.
Yeah,
why?
There's no point.
Especially because you usually have 4 o'clock games. This week we had 3 4 o'clock games. Why wouldn't you just put the Chargers and the Cardinals then? Like, I think that was pointless.
If we do get into these double Monday nights, can we at least invest in a better second game commentating crew?
Who commentated this one?
Dan Orlovsky, Lewis Riddick. I forget who even the play-by-play guy was.
Oh, I mean London game? It was Joe Thomas and some guy I never heard of.
Yeah, Joe Thomas. Yeah, that was.
I was expecting Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner again.
Should have been. They should be exclusives.
But if that's it, we're going to take it over to Tim, though, for his Have a Day segment. Take it away, Tim.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, just like Tank, I did have an honorable mention, and that's just because I didn't want to put this guy in for the 4th week in a row. So, honorable mention, Derrick Henry, 15 attempts, 169 yards, one catch for 13 yards and a touchdown. I didn't want to put Derrick Henry in for the 4th week in a row and let
Do
him
it.
take up a spot.
You
So,
gotta do it.
so the first one, and I hate to say this one, Saquon Barkley, 17 attempts, 176 yards and one touchdown, two catches for 11 yards. Next up, we got Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 attempts, 116 yards, two touchdowns, four catches for 44 yards. And then this one's a little different. I nominated a defensive guy. We have Beanie Bishop, the rookie from Pittsburgh, 2 interceptions, 6 total tackles, 5 of them being solo tackles, 1 of them being a tackle for a loss, and 2 pass deflections. And almost had a pick 6. Beanie Bishop, the rookie, have yourself a day.
I was waiting because I was going to wait to see if who you nominated. If you did not nominate him, I was going to go off because I was like, this guy is going off.
When he picked Roger off for the second time, I was like, dude, this guy's stat line, I'm pretty sure is crazy right now.
Can you put Devonta Adams in there for that Superman tackle to prevent that pick 6?
Might have to do Pat's tackles of the week.
Wasn't it the Jags and Colts game where they tried to make a Superman tackle?
Yeah, the Colts guy who tried to make that Superman tackle and then got released the day after.
So I mean, at least he made contact.
I felt so bad for him. So, all right, the big question. As we looked earlier, we are 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Are we in or are we out? This is going to be the biggest trade deadline we've had receiver-wise.
Since when?
Just ever. Because there's like so many disgruntled receivers right now. Because as we have negated before, this year is not a passing year. So I feel like a lot of receivers are disgruntled or getting hurt. So other teams need more receivers.
Do you have it handy, like what's the most amount of like receivers that have been moved?
I think I looked that in a season, this was like a whole season, there was 8 receivers that were traded throughout the year. And I mean, if we look at it, we're already at 3.
Yeah. Dotson, Cooper.
What 3? You got Cooper,
Adams,
Jahan
and I'm pretty sure Jahan Dotson at the beginning of the year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
so,
technically right before season, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's people like Cooper Kupp who's on the deadline. I'm pretty sure Mike Williams is on the trade deadline. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley apparently has been asked to be put on the deadline. There's a couple other, and I can't remember who they are right now.
I think DJ Moore's on the trade block.
Oh, see, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I say we'll have a good bit of wide receivers traded. Yes.
Yeah. So big one this year.
Because Cooper and Adams are like pretty big name receivers that have already moved. So just those 2 alone is pretty heavy. But I think there will be at least 1 or 2 like pretty big moves still.
Yeah, like I definitely think Mike Williams is going to get out. I do think the Rams will get rid of Cooper Kupp. And, one of the things I saw is that he'll go back to the team that drafted him, and Kansas City will get him. So,
What about, have we heard anything from Metcalf? Is he happy?
I mean, Metcalf's never happy. Like, even when he's playing good, he's never happy.
Yeah,
No, he's not.
I don't hear much about him, but
I think if anything, Tyler Lockett should be the one who's upset. Because Lockett's performance has gone down since Jackson Smith has gotten there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that at least one person on each team is disgruntled. Jalen Hyatt apparently is upset with his playtime in New York. Which, I mean, I've negated it the last 2-3 weeks that the Giants need to use him more.
Agreed. And I think I've agreed with you on that every time you said that.
Yeah, so and knowing Dallas, I bet you Brandon Cooks is probably on the trade deadline. They're like, hey, you're injured. Welcome back. See ya. Yeah. Kendrick Bourne is another one that I saw is on the trade deadline because he's not happy in New England and New England's not happy with him. So yeah, that definitely I think is a year that there could be a lot of people being traded. Um, I don't think it's going to happen, but a thing that we did point at the beginning of the year, T. Higgins could be somebody who's out there because he had that 1 year deal off the franchise tag.
Yeah.
Earlier we talked about it. Tyreek Hill, there's a possibility he could probably get shipped out. So yeah, I definitely think that this might be a big trade deadline for receivers this year. Or it could be like 2 years ago when Tank and I made a special video talking about the trade deadline and who we thought was going to go where, and 3 people went. uh, you
About
know,
that.
Last week there was the talk of Alvin Kamara potentially being traded for cap space, and then today he gets a 2 year extension. So
Could be a
you never
sign and
know
trade.
with what's actually going to happen.
Uh,
So I'll throw in one more we in or we out. Russell Wilson should start here out.
and
So I said it before. I think that I feel Fields is better playing right now, but I also read something that the reason that they had benched Fields was because if he plays 51% of the snaps through the season, that their 6th round trade pick will go to a 4th round draft pick.
I think
They
it's a
want to.
third.
Oh, okay, so third.
So I think it goes from a six to a third if he plays most of the snaps.
So he's already at 51%, or close, pretty daggone close to it. That's why they're benching him. So honestly, I mean, I want to see Fields starting over top of Russell, but I don't see it happen.
I mean, like I said last week when we talked about it, I think you show teams both quarterbacks are healthy, both quarterbacks are doing good, and you trade one away because you need receiver help. Like as we saw in the Sunday night game, George Pickens was the only receiver that was really doing anything. Austin had 4 passes straight to the chest that he kept dropping. So, it's Najee Harris, George Pickens, and Pat Fryermuth. That's the only people that are helping you. So you definitely need to go out there and get a receiver. Even if you reach out to Hunter Renfrow, who's a free agent. I think Renfrow is a good
I can't believe he's
slot
still a
guy.
free agent.
yeah. Give us some catches.
Or Jarvis Landry. I mean, he hasn't played in a year and a half because no team has signed him, but Jarvis Landry's out there.
I'd rather Renfrow over him.
Trade for Odell. All right, and now we're gonna hit it to Pat with his early power rankings. And Pat, I gotta know, are we putting the Raiders or are we putting the Patriots at 32?
You see, I'm I'm on the Cleveland train. Cleveland staying at
Really?
32 the rest of the year.
I don't know.
Did
I
you
felt
did
New
you
England
see
should have.
did you see that fans were cheering that he tore his
Yeah,
Achilles?
they chanted, "You deserve it."
That's why they are at 32.
I'm sorry.
No
I'm
matter
sorry.
if they turn around and make the playoffs, they're 32.
I'm sorry, but no, I feel that nobody. I don't wish injury on anybody. I don't care if you could be the worst person in the world. That's just me. But this isn't my segment. I'll let Pat take it over. I do apologize, but yes.
Okay.
Well, I think Pat's agreeing with you, putting them at 32 for the rest of the
that's
year.
how these rankings they get us into feelings. You see your team ranked where they shouldn't be, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like the Eagles still haven't broke back into the top 10 yet
Where's
because
Dallas? Can I ask where's Dallas?
well, they're definitely lower than the Eagles, but
But higher than the Giants.
yeah, well, there we go. That's a good descriptor, Tim. That's it.
Are we in at least top 19?
Yeah, I'd say your top 20 range,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, it's becoming increasingly harder week by week to rank teams like 7 through 10 because teams 11, 12, and 13 are all like interchangeable. And
Just as good.
yeah,
There was just a slip up this week that made them fall.
yeah, it's like, so it is coming down. I'm getting more in depth with strength of schedules, who they played, not just based on like recent win and blah blah blah. So now it'll be a more cumulative ranking of the whole season rather than just mostly influenced by the week before. So some teams where if I have them at like 7 and they're on a bye week, usually I don't like to knock them down for having off. But I think this week a team was on bye and fell a couple spots. The Chiefs are still in first, even though they're probably not the best team in the league.
I was going to ask if they were still going to be first, even though they're
Yeah.
not the greatest right now.
Yeah, I'd probably say the Lions are better. And I'd like to say the Ravens are better, but they lost head to head, so I can't. But
Well, and I think
Chiefs
last week
won.
you put the Vikings at 1.
I think
One of the
wow.
weeks you put Vikings at 1. It might not have been last week because Vikings were on
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say a lot of top 10 teams played other top 10 teams, so that also didn't help the rankings this week.
Yeah, I definitely think, if I look back at your 10, I feel like, Commanders will go up. I think, I don't know how you're going to put it, but I think Bucks fall out.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I think Falcons fall out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of, who else. Texans are going to fall, but I don't think they're out. But yeah, I think Falcons and Bucks are probably the only ones dropping out, unless you say that one of them teams that's on bye that's going to fall is Chicago. But I mean, like you said, it's hard to, pinpoint because they were on a bye. They didn't technically lose, but
Yeah.
there's some teams that just happen to have done better this week. So, all right, Tank's video crashed. So, looks like you and I are gonna have to try and do this show again.
All right, you know the
Uh,
deal. You can follow us on X, FKA, Twitter, AKA, ARTAARFA, WAKA,
ABCDEFGA.
Waka Flocka, Waka Flocka. Anyway, Fresh Takes Podcast. We're so good without our sign off guy, Tank. I'm Pat. I usually just kind of chime in random feelings here instead of trying to give important information out. That's more my job. But our boss here, Tim, will give us the final goodbye here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you guys enjoyed the little difference that we did in this instead of just covering every single game. Because, it gets to the point where we kind of make a long video or, you watch the game, so you saw everything that happened. You don't need us to explain what happened. So we wanted to kind of do something different. Maybe, we'll continue to do this next week. Maybe Tank will come up with in and outs or Pat will come up with are we in or out. And, we'll do this from now on. We'll see how the response comes. But if you guys did like that, comment your in and outs. Like, do you believe that the AFC East is the worst? And tell us why. But we hope you guys did enjoy. Remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like. We already said about comment and hit the bell so anytime we post. But it's usually every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And yeah, other than that, we will see you. Oh, comment if you think somebody got snubbed. Because, we started doing that. Like I said in Tank's video, I felt Pat Fryermuth might have got snubbed, or George Pickens' one catch might have got snubbed. But, yeah, Pat and I froze, but I'm still going. So
I was going to try to finish it off myself. I wasn't sure what was going on there.
Yeah, we're still good. I was going through all that, and it's recorded on my end, so we're still good.
All right.
We hope you guys did enjoy it, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.